Friday the 13th is one of the most complicated and misunderstood games on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Nothing, including the manual, explains how the game actually works, and in some cases, it lies to your face. Don't let that push you away though, it's an amazing game under the surface. In this guide, I'm going to cut through all the confusion and show you the strategies I use in my hitless runs and challenge playthroughs so you can take the fight to Jason yourself and end his reign of terror once and for all. Before we get to showing how to avoid taking hits from Jason, we need a better weapon, and that would be the torch. The torch will take away 1 bar of Jason's health for every hit. We're going to do this using a method called the quick torch, which skips the need to light the fireplaces. Now this can be done with multiple counselors as long as they have their own knife and key, but you can't do it with the same counselor twice. Also note that there are a limited number of items that can spawn, so if you grab a knife or a key in one area, another counselor won't be able to collect that same one and you'll have to find it somewhere else. To start the quick torch process, you want to be in the cabin highlighted here, which I'll call the torch cabin. If you don't have a counselor starting here, ideally Mark or Chrissy, you can follow your position on the map until you get there. The first thing you need to do once you're at the cabin is make sure you can spawn items. Each counselor has a different amount of kills they need in order to get items to spawn. For Mark it's 3, so that's why I'm killing 3 zombies. Our goal here is to grab the knife and enter the cabin to our left. Once you're inside that large cabin, go up once and then right. If you have a knife, you'll see a note. Take it and you'll be directed to go into the woods. Reading this note will make another note appear in one of the forest cabins. After reading the note, turn right and go up to exit the cabin. Once you're out of the torch cabin, head left and take the first path down. You want to start moving left and jumping until you see a key, which we'll need shortly. If you want the axe as well, go down the first path you see and then up again. If not, skip that part and continue left until you see a path going up. Once you're there, hit up, up, and then down to leave the cabin, and then go up again. So you hit up, up, down, up. This ensures that the note to spawn the torch will appear. In the forest cabin, go right and read the note. This will spawn a torch back in the torch cabin. Now turn to the right and leave. If you followed the axe path earlier, you can grab the axe on the ground here and pass it to someone else, but if not, just keep moving. Once you're back in the forest, move to the right and start jumping to spawn a vitamin. This will recover some health if you're about to die. Now head down the first path you see, and then in the next screen go to the right and down the first path again. Now you'll be back at the lake loop. From here, head to the right and enter the first cabin you see. Once you're in the cabin, go up, hit down to turn around, and if you did everything correctly, you'll see the torch at your feet. Take it, and now you'll be ready to hunt down the man in purple. Cabin fights in Friday the 13th are different from path fights. Jason will try to move around and hit you with whatever weapon he has, but you can dodge his attacks by pressing down and left, or down and right. Day 1 isn't too bad, you just need to dodge Jason right as he gets in front of you. I like to stay in the middle of the screen, but you can do whatever works best for you. Pay close attention to Jason after he finishes his first attack. If he doesn't start moving to the side as soon as that attack's done, he's going to try to hit you a second time before resuming his movement around the screen. Jason will normally run away after 7 hits with a few exceptions. He'll fight to the death if he has 7 bars of health or less remaining, or if you have 1 or 2 counselors left alive. Once you learn how Jason operates, Day 2 is actually the hardest cabin fight because of how Jason changes his movement speed. He'll alternate between something close to his Day 1 speeds, which are slower, and Day 3 speeds, which are a lot faster. For his slower movement speed, it's basically Day 1 and you can do the same thing you did there. When he starts moving faster, I like to try to wiggle left and right as he's backing away. I don't know if this actually makes a difference, but I've found that he'll usually go back to the slower speed shortly after, but it could just be a coincidence. Now with the faster speeds, you're going to want to start your dodges a little earlier, and he'll use double attacks a lot more frequently here. If he's moving at top speed, always assume he's going to do a double attack, and try hitting him as soon as he backs away after attacking you. Keep it up and Jason will be running away soon enough. On Day 3, Jason will follow the same pattern over and over. All you have to do is time your dodges correctly. There are 2 methods to avoid damage here. There's the long dodge, which looks really cool and has a much easier window to counterattack, but you also have a very small time where you won't get hit. There's also the double dodge, which is easier to do, but gives you a smaller window to hit Jason as he backs away. For the long dodge, you want to watch till Jason stops right in front of you. When he stops and starts his attack, that's when you dodge. If you do it right, both of his attacks will miss you, and when your dodge ends, you can hit him before he can move out of the way. For the double dodge, your visual cue to get out of the way is just as Jason's leaving the left corner. Do the second dodge right away, and both of his attacks will miss you. From there, Jason moves to the right corner, and you want to time your first dodge just as he reaches that corner, again doing your second dodge right away. If you timed it right, you'll avoid both of his attacks again and have a chance to hit him as he backs away. Don't worry if you miss, the timing is pretty tight, but the important thing is that you're not getting hit yourself. Before too long, you'll have the hits to cause him to run away or to end him for good. Now there are some things in Friday the 13th that you don't need to know, but they can be very useful, like how Jason moves around camp, how to beat Pamela in the cave, or how to block Jason from appearing on the lake. I do have guides available for all three of those topics that I'll link in the description, along with hitless and challenge runs where I use these strategies that I'm going over today if you're interested in seeing them in a live run. If you're finding this video helpful, please consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel if you aren't already. It's free and it really helps out a lot. Now let's move on to the path fights. For path fights, once you have the torch, most people will just get in Jason's face and mash away until he runs off. But if you're low on health or doing damageless runs, you'll want to pay attention to Jason's movement speed. Note that hitless path fights will only work with Chrissy or Mark. Under normal circumstances, Jason's programmed to avoid running into you, and if he gets too close, he'll back away and throw an axe. This is his normal mode. He also has what I call a rage mode, where he won't back away and he'll try to run into you. If he doesn't back away, that's how you know he's in rage mode. Because Jason moves a lot slower on day one, you can get a lot of hits in quickly. Start attacking as soon as he's in range, and run from one side of the screen to the other, turning when you get into a corner and hitting him as many times as you can before he gets too close. When he reaches you, make sure that you're facing away from him and jump. Jason wants to stay in your path, so if you do this correctly, he'll end up throwing an axe in the corner. If you time it too early, he'll back up while you're in mid-jump and you'll end up landing on top of him. Once you're over his head, continue running to the other side of the screen and repeat the process. If he's moving too fast and about to catch you in the middle of the screen, jump towards him before turning and continuing on your way. Depending on how close you are, you might be above his head, but that's fine. This should trigger his axe throw if you've done it correctly, and then you can keep running from side to side. Day 2 path fights follow the same structure as day 1, but Jason moves faster. You can get in 2, sometimes 3 hits per pass before he catches up to you. Again, if you see him following too close and not backing off, jump towards him and that should trigger him to attack, allowing you enough time to reach the other side of the screen. Note that these fights shouldn't last as long as they are in the example video because I'm doing these with 2 counselors left alive, so they're fights to the death, and I'm also using rocks so Jason won't die as quickly. Day 3 of path fights will follow the same structure as days 1 and 2, but they can get crazy. Everything can be going great, and then you look away for a half a second and it just snowballs on you. Here Jason moves a lot faster and you can only get in 1 hit every pass if you want to be safe. When you jump over his head, try to stand still for a very brief moment if you have the space. This should cause him to back away and throw an axe if he's not in rage mode. If he is in rage mode, just jump at him to trigger his attack and give yourself some space. Once you beat him on day 3, the game ends and you've saved the day. And that's how to easily beat Jason in Friday the 13th. If there's anything you want clarification on or any questions, please let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, happy slashing, and hope to see you next time.